Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's live video AMA. My name is Maggie. I'm the head of marketing at crypto.com, and I'll be your host for today's live stream. Joining us today is not just one guest, but two guests. The first one is Sunny Lu. He's the co-founder and CEO at VeChain. And the second guest is John Dempsey, who is the co-founder and CEO at VIMworld. VeChain is a blockchain-powered supply chain platform. Through its distributed governance, its goal is to create an ecosystem to resolve some of the major problems that we're seeing with the current supply chain management. While VIMworld is a non-fungible token ecosystem that creates a space where you can attach a non-fungible token to physical objects in the gaming space, such as toys, cards, game pieces, figurines, and so on. They will be responding to about 20 or so questions that have been selected, but they were earlier submitted by our communities last week. And if your question has been selected for today's stream, that means you may have won a share of the prize pool, which will be paid out in VeChain token, VET, and it will be deposited directly to your crypto.com app account later on. So thanks very much, Sunny and John, for joining us today. Before we start, maybe John, Sunny, maybe you can start by giving us a quick introduction about yourself and the VeChain project.
Sure. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Crypto.com. My name is Sunny. I'm from VeChain. VeChain is a public blockchain platform for DApps, not only for startups, but also for enterprises. Basically, we're driving transform technology value like blockchain and IoTs to be a real business value. So I'm very glad to be here. Looking for a very good AMA with John and Maggie as well.
So over to you, John.
Likewise, thanks for having me here. So I'm John, the CEO and co-founder of VimWorld. VimWorld is creating a digital platform for NFTs, and we've heavily gamified everything that we're working on so that it's fun to collect, it's fun to interact with VIMs, it's fun to play with them. And we're building lots of great things that people can do digitally.
So I guess to start off this AMA, I think the very first question would be, why we are having two projects joining the AMA today instead of just one, what we normally would do? Maybe you can start with Sunny, because I know that VimWorld is built on VeChain. So let's start with Sunny, and then John, you can add on to that a little bit more as well.
Well, firstly, I like John. I really like John. I met John in San Francisco a couple of times. Very cool team, and they have been focused on NFT, to build up the business on VeChain blockchain. Very good partners, and we offer each other networking and support in terms of business research reach. Not only VMworld is focused on gaming, but also I can see some future for, let's say, like educational markets for kids. They have very cool hardware, play table, can really attract the kids and friends to play with friends or even study with friends. So I have seen VMware as very promising project running on VeChain, and I think we can really help each other.
Great.
Yeah, Sunny and I are in very close partnership to make VimWorld happen. We selected VeChain as our chain to build the app on because they have a lot of great technology. And in fact, a lot of things that VeChain was already doing with supply chain management really applied directly to gaming. So everything we wanted to do when tracking collectibles and then having in-game assets, it seems like they've already had the tech developed. On top of that, Sunny's a very cool guy, and enjoyed working with him and finding additional partners to make this successful.
So, one of the key themes on all of our AMAs is always about the projects that seem very promising, that a lot of community members would like to ask more about the live use case, right? So I think this is a very good example that we could connect the two projects that can also showcase the true capabilities of VeChain. So let's dive in a little bit more to talk about the projects themselves. The next question is over to you, John. What does VimWorld bring to the NFT landscape? Is there any tutorial on how to get started with VimWorld?
Yeah, of course. So VimWorld is a smart NFT ecosystem. And what that really means is that we're building all the different components that's necessary to make NFTs really adopted by the masses and have people actually understand the true value of it. You can go to VimWorld.com right now, and there's a very helpful tutorial video on the screen that can take you through all the steps, kind of step by step, how to get started in VimWorld. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to create is this mass grand vision of this entire digital ecosystem that people can spend a lot of time on, interact, but at the end of the day, really spend more time bonding with their close family and friends. So the reason why I started VimWorld is, because I'm a gamer, I love playing games, and that was one of the ways that I could connect with people, and form lifelong bonds with my friends. So, we're working towards what I like to call almost like a digital Disneyland, in a way, where you have your Vim and you're spending all this time taking care of it almost like a pet. You're collecting it, you're feeding it every day, and you start growing this natural rapport with it. And then it goes even further beyond that, because all the different mini games and stuff that we're bringing, you can almost enjoy, with your VIM, and be playing all these games with your friends, trading them, collecting, of course, upgrading, and these VIMs become something so much more than a toy or a character.
It's cool. It sounds like it's not just a trading ecosystem, but definitely also somewhere where communities can engage and socialize with each other.
Exactly. We have an awesome community. I encourage people to join our Telegram. Really, every time we get a new community member, everyone is so happy and is really very friendly in helping you get started with the process. So since VIMs are a little hard to come by, we do have a special program for new members where you can apply to adopt a VIM. So you can go to the Adopt a VIM page on VimWorld and really just shoot us an email, and we can give you a VIM to get started.
Sounds good. Well, the next question back to Sunny. Well, it's really great to have VimWorld today, which is built on VeChain. But this year, there are so many really strong blockchain projects that have emerged. The next question from the community member is, so why should we choose VeChain over the others? What in VeChain makes you more confident than the other projects that we observed this year?
Well, I think simply say VeChain is just better. Firstly, VeChain is the ecosystem enabler. We're not only building up a blockchain infrastructure, but actually we are trying to enable anyone, and also not only about a startup, but also big enterprise, to build blockchain applications easier, faster. And actually, according to Deloitte's research, issued this year, VeChainThor blockchain scores higher than Ethereum in security and scalability. And honestly, I really value about this research because everybody knows we have very close partnership with PwC. As it's kind of like a credits from competitors, right? It's kind of means something. And also, we have. I think we have most of the enterprise business running on the VeChain blockchain right now, including the big names, PwC, DNVGO, Walmart, and 70 to 80 others. I think they approve, we're better. That's they select us. And technical wisely, comparing the other blockchain platforms, I think John can endorse that. We have like a feed allegation, multitasker transaction, transaction dependency, dual token system. Those kind of unique features actually really make building blockchain applications, not only build, but also run blockchain applications much easier on VeChain blockchain. Last but not least, we have a unique consensus proof of authority, and we just released POA 2.0, and it actually provides better security functionality and also efficiency improvement. Yeah, so it's just better.
Great. I would like to follow up on the next question. So you mentioned that you're not only targeting crypto and startup projects, but a lot of mainstream enterprises as well. How does VeChain attract businesses like you just mentioned, but maybe we can name a few more, like IBM, Coca-Cola, Mercedes, those who are looking to build their own blockchain instead of partnering with another blockchain project like you guys. What are you doing to attract this kind of businesses? And then one more question is, are there any of the major enterprises projects that have already come to life or already in operation that you can tell us a little bit more?
Okay, so first question is easy to answer. Honestly, I believe any blockchain project or any blockchain application cannot be technical project or cannot be a technical project only. It has to be a business project. because for most of the enterprise, whatever the startup or big corporation, using the technology is actually the purpose of using a technology actually is to serve the business, to create the business value, whatever is reduce the cost or improve the efficiency, or enable something. So that's actually for enterprise, any blockchain project cannot be a technical project. It has to be a business project. So that means when we talk to those enterprises, you cannot talk from technical point of view only. You have to have some, business mindset and also the business understanding about those enterprises. And secondly, like any other technologies, when you go to the business world, you have to cooperate with some professional service providers, because for most of the industrials, you may know one or two industry, but you cannot know them all in the world. So you have to rely on some really big partners, who know lots of different industries. They have a huge team. They already have a strong presence in the different sectors, different industries. So that's why starting from 2017, we really put some focus and to partner with the big partners like DMVGO and the PwC, even Deloitte, to combine our technology with their professional service to the enterprise. Eventually, enterprise, from my experience, enterprise doesn't really care about technology itself, or they don't care how technology works. They more care about what kind of solution can solve their problem or can help their business. So I would say, other than the technology stuff, other than the cool features I just mentioned, the most important thing is we know how to combine technology to business. That's one of my job in my previous career life. I was working the CIO in the Louis Vuitton. Basically, my job was merge them together. So I kind of push my team to have both business mindset and technology mindset, so we're able to attract those big enterprises. Actually, recently we have done, for the second question, firstly, there are many NDAs. I know everybody hates NDAs. I hate NDAs as well. But we do have some developments. Actually, we already announced some partnerships with like the Renji Hospital. But actually, we do have a live project going on, like in a week or two, will be alive. So stay tuned. We're gonna have more news about that. Actually, I think COVID-19 and give everybody kind of like digitalization is the new black, or we have to digitalization, not today but yesterday, that kind of sense. So we also have lots of developments in the field of fighting against the COVID-19, that kind of thing. So, for example, China is one of the countries have been recovered from COVID-19, I would say kind of, but very positively. And we are very happy to contribute to many of these kind of fights, even recognized by multiple different governments, and we just try to scale up as well. So again, stay tuned for official news from VeChain. That will be more, let's say, professional.
That's great. Thankfully, we've got VimWorld today, so we can use VimWorld to demonstrate the use case. So back to you, John. I think the next question is, tell us a little bit about the developments of VimWorld and the 8 hours tokens for the upcoming months, and what can the community can expect in the next months or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I always love talking about this because it's something that we work every single day to continuously improve the platform and make it more user friendly, with the ultimate goal of having it be available for people who are not really familiar with blockchain, to be able to start to interact with. So there's a couple things I can talk about. There's a couple things that I can't. So the first thing that I'm looking forward to releasing is a actual relaunch of our marketplace. So with some additional features in the future. So this is essentially a peer-to-peer trading system where people can list their VIMs for sale. They can, interact with other community members to either sell or buy their VIMs. And it's another way for new people to start to get involved with collecting. And people will be able to look up the different sets or the different VIMs. Maybe they want to collect a certain series or a certain type. Of course, every single VIM has its own unique ID. So we've seen people want to collect all of the same number across many different VIMs. So that's something it's always really exciting to see that kind of secondhand market engagement kind of complemented. So we're also working on what we call the VIM pool, and this is also a previously announced feature where you can look up on our blog on Medium. The VIM pool is essentially a way to award our S-tier VIM holders with a portion of the fees that the VimWorld platform takes. So a bit of an introduction to VIMs in our progression system. As you may or may not know, but VIMs, they start off at a really low tier called F tier. And as you feed it over time and as you incubate it, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So from F tier to D, all the way to A, and then the final level is S tier. And it's really at S tier that we like to see additional perks and bonuses being awarded throughout the ecosystem. So this is special access to platform, or in this case, it's a portion of the VIM pool. Very recently, and even now, we've had a blessing event called Alana's Blessing. That the goddess of Alana comes and visits all of the S tiers, and everyone's granted with certain Earths every day. So that's something I can talk about a little bit later on too.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Okay, I would like to ride on a little bit more because I think what VimWorld is trying to do is to leverage an NFT to connect to the real world of gaming. So what is your vision on that? So clearly you're still at a very early stage, but later on, like how do you envision the role of VimWorld in terms of connecting the actual world of gaming using the NFT technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
like what would success look like to you for what you're building?
The way I see it, VimWorld is kind of the backbone for making all of the user interactions in games possible. When it comes to actual real world gaming, I can give a couple concrete examples. One of them right here, actually, I have a VIM toy, a smart NFT right here. Okay. And this is a character called Growl. We have a bunch of these in the office, kind of manufactured toys. I've also have an Armstrong character. And so these are physical representations of the VIMs that people collect and they play with every single day. It has a base right here with NFC, and people can scan it to their phone. And this is the marriage between physical and digital that we're talking about every time that we're emphasizing. Is for the first time, you're able to interact with a digital world and really not so much care about that. You're actually playing with real toys. And as Sunny was saying, this applies heavily to families, to moms and dads, to kids, because people, there's a certain extent that people don't really care about the digital thing that's happening, but they want to play with their hands, right? They want to interact with the real world. And so we want VimWorld to be that link between both of these things. On top of that, we are heavily character centric. So a VIM is that identity of the character. It's the soul of the character. That means that every single battle or every single interaction, since it's saved on the blockchain, what you're doing is you're building a narrative around that character, a story. And so every VIM has a birth point. Every VIM has a time where they're adopted by their owner. Maybe they'll trade owners. Every VIM has, this concept can be hungry. So our feeding system allows people to kind of check in every day. And like I said, start to level you up to the high tiers. And since all of this is stored on transactions, you can actually see who's taking proper care of their VIMs or not, who's feeding every single day, or maybe if you missed a day or not. And it's these stories and the uniqueness behind each character that people can look at that really makes it different. Like this growl right here is hand painted, and there's a bunch that aren't hand painted, but that's the freedom and the flexibility that we want people to impose onto their characters, and then for those characters to come into games and to bring that persona with them. So if they were to bring, we have this concept of treasures that VIMs collect treasures as they go through life. So there's treasures like the Genesis treasures, which is the very first VIMs ever created. We have Vanguard treasures if you're the first S tier. This entire system dedicated to really allowing developers to assign their own customizability to those VIMs and defining what kind of perks or what kind of stat bonuses will be attributed because of that. So yeah, this character has, of course, many games to be on VimWorld.com and the VimWorld platform, and that same character existing in all of these. So it could be battling game, it could be education, or it could be whatever developers imagine.
Yeah, as a non-gamer, not even hardcore, I'm just not a gamer, but I can see a lot of potential for VimWorlds to be adopted in a much more mainstream gaming and toys industry as well. So I'm very excited to see what can be unfolded for years to come. Let's move on to talk about something we cannot not talk about, which is DeFi. Like at every single AMA, I'm sure you guys have been talking a lot about that as well. Maybe to Sunny first, DeFi dApps, you briefly mentioned that earlier. What are your current opinions about these two? And does VeChain, what do you think is the role that VeChain is playing at the moment within the DeFi space?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. We cannot avoid this hot topic, DeFi. Firstly, DeFi, my personal opinion, is still finance. Well, it's just a different form of finance, which supposed to support business, right? So, which means finance, DeFi also will have to have some demands, like where you gotta use a DeFi. I don't know if you guys noticed in last weekend, actually, Jack Ma from Alibaba just made, again, personal opinion, is a very terrific speech a couple of days ago to talk about lots of things. Talk about the internet, talk about the fintech, talk about blockchain, regulation, and innovation, etc. And the way he talked about the cryptocurrencies as well, surprisingly. And he said it's not really the time for competing to make standards, but for creating real value. That's the whole idea about innovation and moving the whole world forward. And it's a duty of our generation, not only for now, but more importantly for the future, kind of thing. Well, again, he was talking Chinese. I translated into English. But that's roughly the idea. I think the same thing for DeFi is we gotta find demand or use cases for DeFi. How to make DeFi to support better business, that kind of thing. Green minds, I would say share the same thought. VeChain has been devoted to make business applications as the first priority, which is more essential, for finance applications or DeFi to be adopted with demanded and sustainable scenarios. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. So business first, and when business getting more and more, rich and prosper, for sure they will require the specific finance to support this kind of business on blockchain. But it doesn't mean we don't do DeFi, or actually we started in the beginning. We're gonna continue to work on that. When we design our due token system, staking VET, get VSOR for fees, to use as a gas fee on the VeChain blockchain, I believe that's the real DeFi concept for value. And we started in 2017 actually. So last but not least, as an ecosystem, enabler, it's our duty to coordinate and lead the VeChain community, including the cool project like VMworld, to lay down infrastructure services and tools for any blockchain applications, including DeFi. Actually, our chief scientist, Dr. Peter Zhou, is working with our blockchain core team, and also some ecosystem projects, again, including VMworld, thanks for the contribution, to propose a technical roadmap for necessary tools and services for DeFi. It's going to be released very soon. And once it's released, I will call for participation from entire community, and let's build it together.
So riding on that, do you agree with the following statement that the popularity of DeFi has faded and that the market has become very bullish on NFT?
Oh yeah, well,
Question.
now it appears so, because I think it's normal when you have new technology, you will have a bubble, right? When you have a new concept of DeFi, we can see lots of, I would say, kind of shady projects. Just try to put the DeFi name on that, but actually not without any real income or real use case demands. For sure, that kind of fever will goes away. But again, I would say the DeFi, the kind of concept has lots of future. Just like any other technology, will goes up and down a little bit and goes even higher in the future. So that's about a DeFi. And for NFT, honestly, I like NFT very much. Starting from the kind of concept is starting before I started VeChain actually, or even before I look at the blockchain technology even. When I was working at Louis Vuitton, actually we learned some trends from luxury retailing markets. The new generation of consumers, they are not really either following the brands, like, oh, I buy that because it's brand, or following some celebrity, like, oh, I buy that because Tom Cruise or Beckham, they're wearing that kind of thing. The new generation of consumer actually more care about uniqueness, exclusiveness, and my personal touch for any of my professions. So NFT is perfect technology to make that for collectible items or building up that kind of bridge, like John just mentioned. From physical world to digital world. So definitely, the future is about the young generations, about the young people, right? And so that's why I believe NFT is new black, got a lot of future.
And I think you touch on a very good point, like the what the new generation is looking for, right? I definitely don't belong to that, but I think the new generation is not just looking or like after brands or celebrities. Making things highly customizable is what they like, but also what I've learned in the last few years is also like how things are made, where they're made from, what they're made of, also matter to them. So if, to me, like using the blockchain and NFT technology can help them trace all the way back, and so then it gives them a new purpose and meaning of like why I want to be associated with this product is not just a superficial brand, but it's a purpose underneath. So yeah, it's definitely fascinating.
Actually, I just wanted to add a little bit more because you just remind me a very good story about that. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was part of the project of Louis Vuitton, and we created a project called My LV Story. Like, I wanted to write some story or some journey with my Louis Vuitton products, something like that for the consumers. But it was very hard because it's, you cannot write with a notes on a diary or something, try to connect it to your personal physical products. But now, with NFTs, perfect example with NFC chipset, with NFT, tokens, and we are able to make that be real. And even better, we can record the journey to some kind of romantic story, whatever, to the blockchain, make it forever, something like that. So I think there are lots of use cases we can do with this.
What can I say? You're just ahead of the time. All right, so let's move on to talk a little bit about technology. We were talking about VeChain blockchain over the others, right? The next question is over to you, John. At the beginning, what was the determining factor for VeMworld to choose VeChain over Ethereum? Has there been any difficulty because maybe the other projects would still like to stick with the Ethereum ecosystem for their own reasons? Are there like the challenges that you need to overcome, but for a better outcome?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, as Sunny mentioned earlier, VeChain is just better in terms of technology and the business case, and I think this overall strategy. And first off, I'd say the transition from VeChain or from Ethereum to VeChain is really negligible. It's very convenient to build NFTs on either. So when it comes to developer skill sets, it's very easy to build on VeChain. But when it comes to selecting a chain, I think it's a lot more of the long-term vision and what's going to be happening 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years down the road, rather than what's happening over the next couple months. And when I look at that, a lot of fundamental infrastructure flaws of Ethereum are definitely there. So, high gas fees, the transaction cost, transaction model, VeChain directly solves a lot of that with just the transaction speed, overall architecture, and features like fee delegation. So when it comes to our vision of making sure that people can easily adopt VeMworld and use it as easy as possible, what VeChain allows us to do is sponsor the gas fees for those users so that they don't have to load their wallet with additional gas to pay for some hidden cost. It's actually a cost that we take on as a company. And then on top of that, if we were running on Ethereum, maybe $500,000 would be wasted within our last 2 months of launch. We've launched VimWorld.com for 2 months now, and just the amount of gas that we've used, the amount of transactions, the amount of user engagement, I really don't think it would have been possible on Ethereum. It would still be kind of permanently stuck in like an early DApp stage project.
So, John, you have covered from a cost efficiency standpoint how VeChain has helped you compared to Ethereum. Back to you, Sunny. You also mentioned from the audit that VeChain scored very high on security. And security is definitely the top priority and concern for everyone. And a lot of the top blockchains are still facing the risk of all kinds of attack, hackings at the moment. What has VeChain, you guys have been doing to address this highest concern among the community?
Well, actually, we have done different things from different angles. Firstly, from technical point of view, before we start, really build the codes, we have reviewed almost every project at that time, like in 2017, and including the ones created before, to really evaluate, what is the advantage of that, what is the risk of each one, what is the potential threats or vulnerabilities. So we done the research work a lot, and even we spent months, even like a couple of years, to try to, to really done the homework before we would get our hands dirty. Secondly, during the developments, we really have a process. It's kind of like I kind of use my previous life experience to make creating the blockchain technology not just one man's work, but really a professional software engineering, that kind of thing. So we have done, for example, we done the testing, we done the reviewing codes with like more than 50% of time. Actually to know more I would say to most of technical guys, they don't like testing. They don't like, they like create something cool, but not really like review or testing, that kind of boring things. But from professional software engineering point of view, any kind of technical project, you have to put right like about 50% of the time and cost in the testing and reviewing. So we're kind of following very restrictive protocol to make it happen. And also third, we hire not only, like blockchain field professional security team like Hacken, like Slow Moist, to review our codes, but also we hire a traditional security provider, for example, like a cybersecurity team of PwC, to look our codes and also to do the penetration testing. And eventually, we're happy about that. Actually, from different like feedback, not only from community people or developers, even some of them, they are, Ethereum developers. They give us a very positive feedback, like the code of VeChain is really neat, nice, and useful. And also for enterprises, every time when we go to the enterprise, especially those big ones like Walmart, like BMW, like LVMH, they have very restricted requirement to review the codes, and not mentioning about the big fours like PwC and Deloitte. So it's kind of like has been proven or recognized by them or approved by them. It gives us lots of confidence to go even bigger.
Very good to hear. I think getting the stamp from enterprise is a really good benchmark on the end. Okay, let's move on to talk a little bit about the tokens of your projects. Still with you, Sunny. The next question is, do you think VeChain will be a part of the cryptocurrency payment options in the near future?
Yeah, for sure. I think VT has been used as a payment solution in many applications already, such as crypto.com. And also recently, we announced that the traveler.com using and Metal Pay as well. You put VT as one of the options for user as payment solution providers. And also like other projects built on the VeChain blockchain accept the VT as payments as well. And to be honest, generally to say, I would say VET is like a smart money, which can be executed and programmable in smart contract, will have lots of future for sure. But I would say more importantly, for now, more importantly, to have more use cases to demand cryptocurrencies like VET to be used. So it's kind of like you cannot just do one side, but you have to do both sides to create the demands and then provide a solution, that kind of thing.
All right, so then let's scale back a little bit more to the present. PayPal has just announced that they're going to start offering crypto assets to its users from 2021. What do you think about that, and how will that impact the crypto world overall, and maybe to the community of VeChain as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, PayPal opens network to cryptocurrency has great influence in the entire crypto community, actually, given the tremendous user exposure to worldwide. So I think it's definitely a very bullish news to everybody. Even now, they just accept a very, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, that kind of classic or old timer cryptocurrencies. But definitely, I think it's positive and also give us lots of motivation and confidence to go forward. From VeChain point of view, I would say, firstly, VeChain has most of business enterprise applications. And if they are already, actually some of them, already partnership with PayPal in the traditional business world, So it's kind of easy to attract people to talk to us, I would say, because we have use cases, business use cases, enterprise users, and also we have quite active and biggest one of the let's say amazing community in the world in the crypto. I think it's kind of give us some plus as well. Last but not least, we do have some connections in PayPal, which is in charge of blockchain developments, and definitely we want to work with them to see any collaboration opportunity in the futures. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I totally agree that I think we need more players to help us drive the train of more mass adoption before we can see crypto payment that can take off to the next level.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, John, back to you. So I am not 100% clear of the relationship between VIMs and the 8-hour tokens and the ecosystem. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more to our community and like how we can make the most use out of the 2 tokens and the overall ecosystem.
Absolutely. So I think the number one thing ERTS is used for is ERTS is food for your VIM. So you, like I mentioned before, you feed your VIM to level it up. And on top of that, ERTS is the main fungible currency for the platform. So you use ERTS to buy games, buy VIMs, to trade VIMs. You can use ERTS to wager, and really anything that you want to do, you can use ERTS for. On top of that, we are bringing on more and more brands to VimWorld. We're talking with artists, we're talking with game publishers. These are our original characters, but we have a bunch of other characters that we've, that are not ours, that we've licensed and are converting to VIMs. And we have a special program with those publishers where they buy ERTS and they stake it in order to have their VIMs created and be able to have access to the platform from the B2B perspective. And so overall, like, we're making our blockchain experience as seamless as possible. ERTS is going to be the in-game currency that's used between all the different games. So like I said, it's really a general purpose currency. And we still use it for any bonuses or rewards, blessing, and essentially the value of the VIM is reflected in the amount of ERTS that's within the VIM. So S tier VIMs have at least 257,000 ERTS in it, and so that's kind of the market rate. Well, the market rate will be a lot higher than that. But
I just came up with a business idea when you talk about food, because I'm getting my own dog in January, so I'm thinking of like a virtual world for your own pets, because right now, because of COVID-19, my family might not be able to visit my pet, so my pet virtually and then can still send their care remotely. So it's just a really random idea, but it really just popped up in my head. I just really need to say it out.
it sounds really cool. Yeah, maybe someone will come take that idea.
All right, not to get distracted. Back to our last section, which is to talk a little bit about the upcoming challenges that you guys will foresee. To Sunny, what do you think is or how the economic crisis has or will impact VeChain, its own strategy or upcoming plans?
Well, we all understand right now the global economics is really global economics. Like, everybody is kind of twist each other. Even kind of right now, China, US is kind of sensitive, but still, it's like fighting couples. We cannot live each other, something like that. Not mentioning about the other players like Europe, like Japan or Singapore, Southeast Asia. Everybody connected to each other. So it's very hard to say like, oh, we don't work with you guys anymore, or we're gonna just work with the rest of the world, something like that. It's very hard, honestly. So but the global pandemic, like COVID-19, is really changing the whole world. The global collaboration, or even for the normal life, you cannot be as used to be. You cannot like magically snap the finger like, oh, now COVID-19 is gone and we're back to before the end of 2019, something like that. It cannot be. Um, Honestly, right now, the pandemic crisis is still there, and we can see lots of economic has been impacted, especially for smaller economic bodies, or heavily rely on like international trading or tourism. They definitely took a hit. That's the first thing. Second, I would say, for the new word, I'm gonna call it the new word, like as a post COVID-19. Everyone, every enterprise, or even the governments have to work differently. You have to work more remotely, or more digitalized. So like I mentioned before, digitalization is the new black. Everybody just realized, we gotta do digitalization yesterday, not today or not tomorrow. So that means, for any enterprise already being digitalized enough, or have advanced advantage in digitalization, will definitely survive through, and even moving upward in the ladder of the industries. Um, so I think that's kind of opportunity for a company like a VeChain, because everybody needs digitalization, and blockchain would definitely cannot be missed. In any kind of digitalization. So I think it's kind of opportunity for us, and not only us, but for the entire blockchain industries. But for short term, for sure, even though business in China, almost fully recovered, even moving much forward than we expected, because people need more digitalization, people need more blockchain, just simply to say. But still, Europe and the U.S. market is still under lots of uncertainties. Business running much slower than before. But we are working very closely with our partners like DNVGO. They have a very strong presence in Europe, and continue to explore, like I mentioned, business opportunities, specifically in fighting against the COVID-19. Recently we announced the hospital in Cyprus build up like health certification, or e-code or health code for patients, something like that. So yeah, it's tough, but I'm very positive for VeChain actually.
Yeah, like it's the old saying where every risk come with a new opportunity. It's just
Yeah,
whether we're at the right place at the
yeah,
right time, and feels like blockchain industry is definitely fitting in the right time at the right place kind of scenario. Um,
right.
that said, what do you think would be the biggest challenge for you guys in 2021?
Well, it's the same old. The business expansion. Try to get more users to understand, or try to adopt the blockchain applications. Um, Simply to say, I have a figurative speech. Imagine an enterprise, or a company, or even an individual try to set up a website, or run an e-commerce platform like 25 or 30 years ago. It was very hard. Basically, you gotta write everything from scratch. You gotta write your website. You gotta write the interface to the banking, payment solutions. You gotta try to connect with logistic providers, or CRM, or digital marketing stuff. But nowadays, if you look at the e-commerce, it's very easy. You just need to focus on business. You can choose the different platforms. You can choose Tmall or Alibaba platform, or Amazon, or JD.com. They got everything done. You don't care any kind of technical details, but just focusing on the business. So that kind of make mass adoption very easy, right? So I would say the biggest challenge to not only to us, but to the entire blockchain world is lack of professional services, enough tools to ease or lower the entry level of blockchain adoptions. It kind of block many people who have great ideas, business minds, but without blockchain technologies. So I think for us is continue to work on that to scale up our VeChain toolchain platform to be able to support many people, many enterprise, whatever is startup or big ones, to build a blockchain application more easily, less cost, and faster. So yeah, that's a challenge, and we do have a solution.
Great, great. It's really great to hear because it does feel like sometimes we like to isolate ourselves among a very tech-savvy community.
Right.
How about you, John? What do you think is the biggest challenge for VimWorld? Would competition be one of the more major one in your case?
Yeah, I mean, for us, as Sunny mentioned, there's a more attention on the digital space overall, right? With everyone staying at home, people are looking for things to do, ways to have fun that really didn't exist before. And NFTs in general is collecting a lot of interest. Well, what is a digital collectible? How is that possible? Is some of the kind of questions that we're encountering. So I think there's a big education that needs to happen on the user side, not just how to use the technology, but why is it meaningful? And part of the way I explain that is like this has never been possible before, because traditional software you can always copy and paste your ones and zeros right into something new, and so you can always replicate an infinite number. But with blockchain, there's a actual supply, so you're introducing scarcity. And that fundamentally changes the game for anything, especially digital collectibles, and makes it possible. So there's that hurdle in the first place, and then of course the tech development that needs to happen. And there's a fine line between well, pure blockchain is one approach, and then you can go with traditional centralized systems. We've seen the issues with centralized systems. They're not really true ownership. But of course, blockchain is a little bit difficult for people to use in the truest sense. You have to be very tech savvy. So, finding that line between the proper user experience and how to build out like a true digital collectible that people own and are able to trade with and have all the great features, but minus the setbacks is one of the challenges we're looking forward to solving. On the other side, there's other NFT companies and blockchain gaming companies like Engine that we're looking at, and basically carving a separate strategy from them. I think in general, NFT, blockchain, everyone's kind of more or less doing the same thing. But once you go deeper on a deeper level, they can be very, very, very different. For example, our focus is more on the ecosystem. So yes, tech is one thing, but there's also business development that needs to happen. There's actual economies that needs to be set up. There's communities that need to be managed and grown and integrated properly into your gaming experience. And then on top of that, there's actual game that you want to build, or games, or educational experiences, or DeFi apps. Really, our R&D is finding out this smart NFT, both with the physical connectivity, the IoT, and finding out ways to use that as a vessel for more and more things. So utility, not just for in-game collectibles, right? But having this concept of something has a soul. What can it do for you? Maybe it can, I don't know, maybe it can work for you someday and have its own AI. That'd be something very, very interesting to see.
I like how you the proposition as like a marketplace, which can include a lot more possibilities and opportunities in the future. Back to, I think you two have also come up with a very strong theme of driving adoption beyond the tech community. John, would you like to finish off this AMA by the #1 thing on top of your mind, like what you're doing to drive mass adoption to non-tech gamer or toy collectors in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the core things we focus on is finding communities and brands that already exist that are not familiar with blockchain or tech. So they might be gaming brands that have their own following. They might be collectible toys. They might be just collectible merchandise or other things outright. And we are in discussions both at the business level and the community level. Talking with the community members. And every time I've had a conversation with an artist or a business owner about what it means to come onto VimWorld or digitize their assets, their minds are blown, and they just get so excited and wanting to work with us right away that it's that's the easy part. The hard part is a lot of the implementation and what comes after. Right?
Creating the demand first, right? So that's it for all of the 20 questions. I'd like to thank both of you for the insights and your sharing today. And also a big shout out to the communities who sent over all these amazing questions. Before we wrap up, any final words that Sunny you'd like to share with our community?
Well, it's just to the entire community, including the crypto.com, including the VMworld and VeChain. The future is now. We are at the edge of century development to make the whole world more digitalized, make the whole world running on the blockchain. And I can see in the future, in the next 15 to 20 years, it could happen and it will happen. So it's kind of the duty and responsibility for everyone, not only to the people like me, like John, like Maggie. We are the the players in the industry, but actually to everyone from the community as well. Everybody can contribute, everybody can share the duty, and moving the whole world to the blockchain even faster. So the future is in your hands. Let's get it together.
Great, thanks, Sunny. How about you, John? Some final words from crypto.com, VeChain, VimWorld.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to thank you guys, thank everyone for tuning in, and encourage you to check out VimWorld.com, join our Telegram, VimWorld, and apply to adopt a Vim, see what it's all about.
Not just that, but make sure to follow Sunny on Twitter, and your handle is SunshineLu24, and John at John Dempsey 0. And last off, just to remind those who are watching, if your question has been selected earlier on, that means you have won a share of the VET prize pool, and your prize will be deposited to the crypto.com account within 2 weeks or so. Until then, follow crypto.com to stay informed about upcoming events and updates, and keep an eye on our Twitter, Telegram, and YouTube channel. This is where our AMA will be posted on. So until next time, once again, thanks a lot, Sunny and John, for joining today.
Thank you.
Maggie. Thank you.